spirituality and realizing our infinite potential. Mucho, mucho love and light. Hello, infinite souls. Welcome to today's podcast. What is up? How are y'all doing? Today's podcast is it's gonna be late. I just tired. I actually fell asleep. I've been very tired lately. I know that there's been a lot of cosmic radiation, like I call it, light pouring in. That's how I describe it, into the planet. And so our bodies are absorbing this and adjusting and integrating. So in any case, I'm here now. And thank you for being here. I'm super excited. Today's podcast episode is titled, Are You Asking Empowering Questions? Yeah, that's a mouthful, huh? So I heard this concept from Michael Bernard Beckwith. He is a spiritual teacher, leader, and he has a spiritual community called the Agape Spiritual Center. It's worldwide. He's huge and he's amazing. But anyway, so I heard this concept from him. I've heard it a few times, and then I also took a class with him, a meditation course. So I've heard several of his teachings, and this concept has really stayed with me and changed my life. It was one of the first concepts I heard when I first awakened in 2015, and it totally changed my life because it changes the way that you think. It changes the programming that you have in your mind from what you're used to. So a lot of us don't even realize that we are speaking negatively about ourselves, or that we are asking ourselves questions all day, or talking to ourselves all day. So when you realize that you have a voice inside of your head, then you can be the observer of the thoughts and just start to disconnect from the thoughts and see them as clouds passing by. That's what meditation is really, really good for. I am an avid meditator. I love to meditate. I meditate twice a day, and I think that everyone should do it at least once a day. Once a day is good. I do it twice just because I practice Reiki and things like that, so I have a lot of energy transfer, so I need to fill my cup up well. And I feel I like it that way. There's days that I just do it once, but I always at least meditate once, and at least for 5 minutes. Like, even if I don't have time that day, or I'm not in the mood or something, at least get 5 minutes in. It really does change a lot, and it's also your discipline, and it says a lot about your commitment to yourself, and the universe responds in the appropriate way to support that. And so let's begin with the empowering questions, right? So before we begin with those questions, well, let's talk about what thoughts we're thinking. A lot of us when something goes bad, especially, we start to ask disempowering questions, and we don't realize that these questions are leading us onto a constant loop of this negative belief that we have about ourselves. So when we ask, why is this happening to me? This happened recently to me with a family member, with my mom. I was talking to her, and she was upset about a certain situation, and she was like, why is this happening? or something along those words. And we always ask, why me? Why is this happening to me? Why, God? You know, like, sheesh. And okay, reasonable, you know, because you're like in a very tough situation. But we need to learn to ask empowering questions. So when things are bad, remember that there is always something positive in it. There's always light within the darkness as well. So there's something that it's teaching you. There's either something that you're learning from it, you know, something that you have to teach someone sometimes. You know, most of the time it's a lesson when it's something that we don't like. And when it's something that we like, it's a blessing. You know what I mean? It's always a gift from the universe. So it's either a blessing or a lesson. And there's other things also in between, you know, like I know from the spiritual side that sometimes we allow ourselves as intuitives or as healers to be that healing moment for whatever person. And even though you may see that the outcome is not favorable, you still go through with it just to help heal the other person and to study. Because when you go through the darkness is when you learn a lot. And so a lot of us healers have experienced a lot of darkness and situations that are not looking positive here in the physical plane at said moment. But when you look back at a lot of these things, when I look back at a lot of the things that I went through that happened to me, I had to go through all those things to learn lessons, to learn things about life, to get wisdom. Because wisdom is different than knowledge. You know, you can have knowledge, you can read all these books, but when you experience things and you feel things, that's when you get wisdom. And so we acquire wisdom through our hardships. Unfortunately, it comes through hardships more than it comes through joys, but it does come through joys too. And once you start to flip the way that you look at it, and you start to see that there's something positive in it, and you, even though you may not see it at the moment, you believe it, that there will be a reason. And so eventually you will look back and you'll be like, oh, I know the reason was. And you know, I'm gonna tell you straight up, sometimes you don't know why it happened. Like, there are certain things that are meant to be a secret or a mystery. The universe is mysterious, you know, and so there are certain things that are just not meant to be understood by the human mind. You know, and so anyway, with that said, asking empowering questions changes the way that you look at life. It makes you look at life from an empowered state, not from I'm a victim and life is happening to me, but from an empowered state, like, what is life trying to teach me? What is trying to unfold? What is the next level of my unfoldment? What is this teaching me? What is my lesson? What is trying to emerge? You know, how is this helping to expand my highest self? You know, and then you can ask for help, you know, from your angels or your guides or ancestors if you believe in the spiritual realm. But we have to ask the empowering questions, and we have to ask for help. Our angels, if you believe in angels or guides or ancestors, if you believe in them, they only can help you when you ask for help. Like, they're not going to step in unless you ask for help. So you have to be open and willing to. And you know, if you're just like talking to the universe and manifesting, and you have to be clear about your intentions. and you have to ask empowering questions. So when you catch yourself in a thought like, why is this happening to me? Then you can stop right then and there, but you have to catch yourself in the thought first, right? So you stop then, and then you replace that with a more empowering question, right? Something that's positive. Some other empowering questions that you can ask is, what gift am I to give to the world? You know, when you feel like lost, that you don't know what to do, and you're like, why don't I know what to do? Why I never know what to do? You know, that's a belief that you have, that you are incapable of knowing what to do. Like, so that goes down further. It's just a question, but that question that you're asking, it's just creating that loop for you, you know? And so you stay in a low vibration. So if you ask, what gift am I to give to the world? Then that makes you think about your gifts, right? What is trying to emerge in my life? What is the next step that I should take? Instead of like, oh my God, what do I do? You know, that's from like a frustration point of view. Instead, say, what is the next step I should take? And when you ask these questions, it's important that you have patience and that you know how to listen. So don't expect an answer right away, especially if you haven't been doing the work. I'm just saying that. So don't expect an answer right away, but you will get an answer. And it will be soon. I mean, it just depends. But you will get an answer, but you have to be available to listen, still enough, quiet enough, or observant enough. You have to notice the little things, because sometimes it'll be very subtle, but you will get an answer. It can be in a dream, in a thought, in a sentence, in something that you're talking about with a friend, in a song, in a movie. It could just be a thought, an image. It could be anything. It could just be a knowing. You could just know. You know, that's how spirit and your guides and your ancestors communicate with you. So listening is very important, and it's a lot of people don't know how to listen nowadays because we are very busy, and when we're busy, we're distracted most of the time. It's very, very rare when you see somebody who is a very busy person who's very present with everyone. I've met people who are very successful and are present with the person that they're speaking to, but definitely it's rare. So we need to slow down so that we can be able to listen. We need to be able to disconnect from our thoughts. Not disconnect because they don't go away. You're just kind of like creating space between them. And so connecting with your soul being, with yourself, whether that's through meditation, through a practice like Qigong or something, breath work, all that stuff connects you. So it's very important to have some type of practice that you enjoy, that you can do often if you're not somebody who does it daily like myself. But definitely meditation. There you go. So that is the concept of changing your thoughts. It begins to change your beliefs about yourself because it'll give you a positive answer, something that you can work towards. And then, you know, recognize also the beliefs that you do have when those questions come up. Like if you say, oh, why can't I ever figure it out? Something like that, right? You're frustrated. Well, and then things start to get worse, and then the computer shuts down or something, like you're frustrated, right? So when you're asking those questions, it's creating more negative energy. It's amplifying the energy that is already present there. And so things are getting worse, obviously. So instead, you know, we're also going to look at the question and say, okay, you're saying, why can't I ever figure this out? Well, you're saying that you have some type of belief that you can't do this, right? So for me, for example, I get frustrated with technology, which is why I'm talking about the laptop. So if I believe that I'm bad with technology, that I'm not good with technology, then it's going to have disruptions when I'm working with it, you know? And so that is the belief. Now we can talk about something else, like, oh, why can't I ever make the right decision if somebody's having some type of hardship, you know? That is a belief that you think that you're lost, that you don't know what to do. But the answers are always inside. You always do know what to do. So when you ask a question like, what is this showing me? What lesson is this teaching me? What am I to learn from this? How can this help me grow? Then the answer is going to be a solution. You know, a solution is an answer, a response. It's not, because it'll help you to respond instead of just reacting from those emotional states, or what you may need to do in the next step. So I think that's all I have for you guys. But I really enjoyed this podcast, and I hope that you learned something from it. Until next time, mucho love.